Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Sexy Life Summit. I'm here today with Triambika, and Triambika is an internationally recognized seminar leader, professional sex and conscious intimacy coach, and the founder of something called the Ecstatic Awareness Institute, which sounds really cool to me. She's guided thousands of men and women to empower their sexuality, helping them to release shame, which is, something we talk about a lot on these summits, gain confidence, learn to have extraordinary sex and experience exceptional stamina, and create healthy relationships. Triambika, I'm so excited to have you on today.
Thank you, Lessa. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, awesome. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff today. We can start with, whatever you like. We had sort of mentioned talking a little bit about Tantra, which is something that you do a lot of, and sort of just working around into different things from there.
Sounds great. Let's do it.
Cool. So you work a lot in sort of tantra and sort of spiritual sexuality, and conscious intimacy was something that really came up when I was reading your bio. It sounded really fascinating. Will you tell us more about that?
Yeah, well, so, today I teach and coach and guide and mentor in all aspects of sexuality. Mm-hmm. And, my background and where I sort of came into this field was through Tantra. Mm-hmm. And I spent many, many years studying, practicing, living a tantric lifestyle, and that is still very much my foundation. And so what that means to me and how I bring that into my work is really at that level of presence and consciousness. Mm-hmm. Like becoming ever more aware of the subtle and not so subtle aspects to our sexuality, everything from the emotional component to the places where we need to heal. Mm-hmm. To how to use that potent life force and move it through us in a more powerful way, so that it's not just like a buildup in the genitals and then out. It's more something that can, it's something that can actually regenerate us and enliven us.
Oh, very cool. I like that concept of not having it be so genitally focused, because that's something that I've been thinking a lot about recently. Like, how can sex and intimacy be less focused on even just orgasm? Because a lot of people just really get into their heads about, am I orgasming? Is my partner orgasming? And just focusing in different areas sounds like it would be really useful if that's not something that your body's just coming to easily. Will you tell us more about non-orgasmic intimacy?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked. I was just about to say, that this concept of orgasm is wonderful, right? We love orgasms. Yay! Right?
Yeah.
We all love orgasm. But also understanding that we come together in a sexual experience, and when we don't make orgasm the goal, mm-hmm. and we make the intimacy, the deepening, the connecting, the loving, when we make that more of the goal, and even beyond that, to connect us to something even higher than ourselves, something that ultimately connects us to the whole universe, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then the level of ecstasy and bliss that's available is limitless.
Wow. That
a single orgasm that may only last a few seconds for some, maybe a minute or two for others, is just like, it's just tiny in comparison to, what's possible through the deepening of love and sex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I really agree with you. That's a really powerful concept. And I think a lot of the times what I see is people take the pressure off of achieving orgasm, like that sort of achievement unlocked kind of thing. That when they step back from that and just say, I'm going to have a wonderful experience, regardless of what the outcome is, that they have a much easier time actually achieving the orgasm that they're looking for. But they also have a different, oh, go ahead. You were going to say something about that and I want to know.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. We have an easier time achieving it. And also when the pressure's off from our partner trying to get us there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us are responding to what we think our partner wants. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of a little convoluted. It's a little mm-hmm. mixed in between what I'm trying to get there. Am I trying to get there for me? Am I trying to get there for you? Yeah. It's a little bit of both. And what if we're just not trying to get there and then just like really relishing and enjoying the sensations of the moment? And I really emphasize using your breath, like using the breath to sort of expand those sensations throughout the body.
Yeah, that's a really big concept in Tantra, right? Working with the breath in order to be more embodied, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, like the breath is the vehicle of your life
Mm.
force, right?
Hmm.
It carries your life force through your body, through your lungs, and up and through you, and sort of allows you to keep living. And so, if we are in a very very pleasurable, excuse me, a very pleasurable heightened moment of arousal, and then suddenly we use our breath like a big deep breath and feel the arousal sort of, instead of staying in that one spot,
Sure.
spreading around us.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing what can happen.
That sounds like it would be
Yeah.
amazing. I definitely want to experiment more with that. I've had some very brief, like, sort of touched on that a couple of times where you're kind of relaxing into an orgasm as opposed to grabbing onto an orgasm. Do you advise people to do one or the other? Is that something that you have seen before? Like, is that something you talk about a lot?
Yeah, well, it's like it just kind of depends on what you're going for.
Sure.
Like, I really make sure to let people know that there's no wrong way
Hmm.
to do anything, right? If it
Absolutely.
works for you and that's what you want, then keep doing that. It's
Hmm.
This is just another way to expand your experience
Hmm.
of orgasm. So grabbing onto an orgasm, usually we clench down, we tighten our body, our breath is very held or short and
Hmm.
shallow, and there's a really good reason for that. It's
Okay.
because all the sensation for arousal stays localized. And
Nice.
therefore, if you want to have your peak and then you drop from your peak, if you want to have that little peak, you're going to have it,
Yeah. There you
guaranteed,
go.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
If if you're willing to let go of that particular response it's often a habitual response of how we know to have orgasm. If
Hmm.
you're willing to let go of that and sort of sacrifice knowing that you're going to have that little peak, sacrifice that for something different.
Hmm.
I would say something greater, but it's just really like, it's not about judging what you're already having. If that's working for you, do that. But
Yeah.
if you want to explore something different, then expanding the sensation is going to diffuse a little bit of the sensation down in your genitals, but it's
Hmm.
going to start to spread out, and you're going to start feeling a more whole-bodied orgasmic experience,
Very cool.
which is really, really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, for sure. So, for people who are wanting to try out this kind of experience, what kinds of tools can they use? Like, is there a way they should modulate their breath to try to figure this out, or is there something in particular that they should be doing with their breathing as they're experiencing this?
Well, I like to, wait till you're in a higher state of arousal,
Hmm.
right? Sort of like midway or closer to an orgasm. And
Yeah.
then I emphasize breathing in through the nose, deeper, slower, longer breaths, deeper, slower, longer breaths, and continue like it's like a circular, just continue to breathe. And with that, use the power of your intention and your visualization to imagine that sensation of arousal, like almost like an energy, like a light or something
Hmm.
that wants to travel up through you. So you're like you're sucking it up.
Filling yourself
you're
up with it. Yeah,
you're
totally.
just filling yourself with
Yeah,
it,
totally.
and almost see it like rising up through you.
Hmm.
More intricate aspects of tantra will teach more specific places where that's channeling up through, like your spinal channel and that type of thing. But just like as a simple form, just like really almost like you're relishing, like you're about to dip into a freshly baked apple pie, and you're like,
Yeah, yeah, but that smell sort of fills you up and it gives your body the sensation of apple pie, right? Yeah, totally.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
that makes sense. Well, that sounds really interesting. I hope you guys give that a try. I'm gonna try it. Um, and I've actually wanted to work with tantra for a long time. I think it's really excellent, and I'm really excited to have somebody on sort of talking about what this tantric experience can be like. And I would love to know more about like how you've used that in your life, like in connection in your relationship and things like that.
Oh wow. Well, it's interesting because this is um this is an interesting place because tantra, a lot of times people think that we both need to be into it. We both need to, be on this path. And,
Mm-hmm.
the truth for me is that while I walked the tantric path for many, many years, I married a wonderful man who was not a tantrika at all,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, of course, he was open-minded,
Sure.
but just that wasn't his thing. He wasn't
Yeah.
looking to practice yoga or tantra or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. So for me, the journey with him has been to sort of really allow us to sink into a space together where we can slow down, and just like the slowing down, and how important slowing down is, like in all of it. Tantra, especially in sexuality, it doesn't mean that you don't speed up at times, but that you want to slow everything down just so that you can start to feel the subtleties that are there. And often, and this has happened a lot in my relationship, often inside of those subtleties, what we find is, I mean, not just a whole bunch of juicy, yummy sensation, but also some of the more emotional components within us. Like, we're not just trying to like bang our way through.
Totally. Very true.
Right. Like, because our emotional body and our sexual body are intimately linked and tied together. Totally. Like, they are inseparable.
Yeah.
So, being with my partner, asking him to stay present with me, asking him to breathe with me, and he's very willing. Just simple things like that, and slowing everything down has at many times been very healing for me, and I think for both of us. But like, the healing quality of sex, it happens when we tune into and tap into the emotional quality that's there, right? The deep vulnerability and the sense of need for safety. These are things that if we don't pay attention, we'll just sort of like steamroll right over it.
Yeah, they're delicate, these moments of intimacy that we have sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's the idea. So I think that we were going to talk about some of the things that have gotten in the way, right?
Yeah. I was actually just going to segue and say, it's you and your husband have been together for a while, and you've been through a lot of emotional things that have come up in your sexuality too, or that you've then had to transition out of and back into a place of healthy sexuality. You were gonna talk about a pretty profound experience for you. Are you open to that?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, first off, being a sex coach and a guide and a mentor, this is my whole world, right? And so there's that place where, okay, well, how am I living that life?
Right.
Right. What am I doing in my own life?
Yeah.
And I run into all the same issues that other people run into, changes in my career, both of us having, aging and having hormonal changes and stressors. And then, all these things have sort of slowed down our sex life at different times. And I think the really big one that I saw that shifted things dramatically was not once but twice, unfortunately, losing a pregnancy.
Yeah.
So that was really hard. That was a really, really hard time. And again, it's not once but twice. And so each time had unique experience of, how do we be with this, and just almost like fear of making love, like, well, what if it happens again?
Oh my gosh.
You don't want to cause.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a real
afraid
fear
of having sex.
No. Yeah, well, I can actually. Yes. I absolutely. I from that perspective, I mean, I can feel that feeling that you're feeling of that, like, oh my God, what if it happens again? And I think that a lot of people who have survived these incredibly, oh my gosh, I just want to say traumatic, because losing a pregnancy is really a trauma. It's a trauma to your body. And I want to honor everybody who's been through something that's so, oh man, it's such a huge impact to you, to your partner, to your body, to your relationship, and to your sex life. Like, feeling that fear of having sex, or fear of getting back into an intimate situation where it might result in a pregnancy, you'd have to go through this again. My heart just goes out to you.
Yeah, exactly. So so those fears were there, and also, again, I was talking about the emotional component. All of the emotional pieces that I had to sort through around what had happened, and obviously, sex had led to that, and here I am, sort of in a very down state about the result, and so it was a very confusing period. I think I had to really look at, always that question of like, well, if I were my own sex coach,
right,
what would I say?
Yes, totally. Yep.
Yeah, and this is where Tantra really stepped in, and I believe saved our sex life.
Wow, brilliant.
Yeah, because it was, one of the things that I teach, and I've written blogs about this, and obviously my husband is keen to it, is, I've asked men to, I have an actual blog called Occupy Your Cock,
Nice.
right?
That's great.
And what that means is like, go into your penis and be in it energetically, like get present in it, be in it, and recognize the amazing healing wand that you have there.
Right. Absolutely. It's a magic wand. It's
a magic wand.
I love that idea.
Right. And then not just with the ability to give pleasure, but to actually bring your love into your penis, into your wand, and imagine it lighting up like a light wand.
Cool. Penis lightsaber. I'm thinking like, wow.
Right. Like
totally
lightsaber
happening.
between your legs. Right.
That's awesome.
Enter. Right. I love that idea.
I do too.
But the best thing is that one of the reasons why this was important for me to write about and speak about was because, a lot of times, and maybe this has happened to you, maybe this has happened to other women, is that it doesn't really matter a man's size. Sometimes you just can't feel him inside of you. Yeah. And part of the reason why that is because he's not there. Like his body part's there.
Yeah.
He's in it.
Yeah.
So that was an essential piece, for us to move really, really slowly, right? When I mean slowly, I mean, yes, of course, the foreplay, the loving, the connecting beforehand, but it in the penetration, right? To really just bring the tip of his penis right at the edge of my yoni, which is my word for my vaginal opening.
That's great,
right?
Yeah.
And to just bring the tip of his penis right there and really just like know where to go, know where to be, just be right here, and just breathe together and let my body receive you, right? Let my body open up to receive you. So we're not making something happen.
Right.
And it's just so beautiful what happens in that. And then with that, he's so present inside of his penis that he's actually bringing light and love right through his penis, and that's opening me.
That's amazing.
And that's penetrating me deeper than his physical body ever could, right?
Yeah. Wow. Very cool. Yeah. I mean, that just sounds beautiful.
It is. It really is. And this is what we did, and this is what we do. And this is, I believe, what really allowed me to come back from the fear and the shutdown from, such a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
Among other things, but this is that tantric component that, we made it a priority, to move slow and conscious and present. And believe it or not, the result of that, it's like because my body was available to him in such a deep way without him sort of making his way in, because that's what we're intending to happen, but more like my body saying yes, opening, that, the orgasmic experience that I was able to have as a result was often very emotional, filled with tears, but like if you've ever known what it's like to cry and orgasm at the same time, it's like,
I have experienced this.
Right?
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
It's really amazing. And to be able to process some of that grief through these really profound experiences, it sounds like that was part of what was going on for you, that you were actually able to deal with the grief and the trauma through this very powerful energetic experience. In my opinion, what better way to process that grief and trauma? Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's good to hear myself talk about it, because it is pretty great, actually.
Yeah. I mean, it really just sounds like, I'm thinking of, you can talk about it and you can unpack it with a therapist, and you can, get out, into your head about it in all these different ways. And when you're processing something, often in Western culture, we're definitely guided to talk therapy and psychology and, using medications to get us back on track, and things that chemicals we're putting into our bodies, and that's all very important sometimes too, and sometimes that is a really important component of how we heal our bodies, and if you're doing any of those things, nothing wrong with that at all. That's where you need to be. And there are these incredibly powerful healing mechanisms that we can use physiologically that so many of us just don't even realize are there because our culture is not very attuned to it.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, we have to remember that our body holds cellular memory,
Yeah.
right? If something's happened, if there's been a wounding, a trauma, even from childhood, your body is the one that holds the memory.
Yeah.
And so when we use the body and we use the body's energy to heal, to get present to it, it's totally possible to recover from a big experience.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, we've actually had a couple of trauma therapists, like people who specialize in sexually healing or somatosexual work. And that's actually been a big theme in this summit of healing the body with the cellular memory that we have when we're experience a trauma and getting into our bodies to sort those things out. So the way that you describe, especially from a sexualized trauma, the way you describe actually using a positive or generative sexual experience that's so connected and so deeply embodied to actually heal from that experience that was sexually based. God, that just sounds mind-blowingly powerful. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that story with us. I'm so glad that our audience is able to see that even if you have something that's very sexually based trauma, like a miscarriage, or even just birth trauma from an actual pregnancy that came to term, those are still traumatic experiences that your body goes through, and that you can still have wonderful sexual experiences that can help you heal from those things. Yeah,
Definitely. And I think that paired with that is there, like, and I've seen this in my own life, is like there has to be, I'll speak for myself, I have to be willing to make sex a priority.
Yes.
And I, like anybody else, and my partner too, go through those phases where it's like, we're tired and you get comfortable with one another, and it's just so much nicer to just watch a movie together and this type of thing.
Yeah.
And and I say this to my clients, it's like, you need to schedule sex. And
totally.
And it wasn't until I was in this, until I'm now in this committed relationship with my husband that I realized how actually true that is. Even if that means that we're scheduling sex like tonight, okay, tonight,
okay, that means today.
We're not going to wash the dishes. We're just going to go straight into the bedroom and get it going.
Totally.
Before we get tired, before we turn, how, just like make a decision. When's this happening? We need to do this because it's, and I really firmly believe that it's like, sometimes it's like, even if you're not in the mood.
Yes.
Like,
oh my gosh, totally.
Get in bed or get on the couch, get those genitals close together, start making out.
Yeah.
The kissing is a really important piece here because, when we kiss and the saliva starts building in the mouth, we can be kissing any part of the body, by the way.
Yeah, true.
But when we kiss and that saliva starts building, it actually builds testosterone in the body. So turn on will happen often as a result.
Fantastic.
Of make-out.
Yeah, go making out for the win. A lot of people talk about oxytocin being released when you're kissing, and I always thought that was the major chemical that was released through kissing, because they talk about when you're birthing. I was a doula for a friend of mine. When you're birthing, our midwife was telling her to kiss all the time. Like get a kiss from your husband, Michael, kiss her. And so she was having those oxytocin chemicals come up, and I was connecting with that when we're talking about kissing and thinking oxytocin. Yeah, of course, it's pain reliever, but testosterone, that's interesting. I didn't know that. And testosterone is a very sexually powerful drug.
Yes. I think it's the reason why sometimes for a woman giving a blowjob is just as orgasmic as, having sex or, receiving oral sex or something like that, is because of all of that sort of salivary oral.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's similar for men, because I know a lot of men who really, really get connected when they're giving oral sex, and they like, some men I know like giving oral sex as much as they like receiving oral sex. Same with some women, like that giving and receiving, even if you're thinking of like, I'm not receiving it on me, it's still such a powerful interplay between the two of you because you're both giving and receiving something all the time. Even if it just feels like I'm giving someone else oral sex, then they're still giving to me too in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a cool concept. Did you have a free gift that you wanted to offer?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the
Great.
5 keys of sacred sexuality are available. It's a free ebook. You
Cool.
can sign up to my newsletter. And
Awesome.
then in addition to that, if you would like to go to the free consultation section of my site and fill out a form, we can talk and we'll spend a good long time working with what is it that you want in this area of sexuality, stamina, sexual awareness, and relationship, and what's been getting in the way of
Yeah.
you having that, and sort of create a plan that would be suitable for you to begin to have more of what you want.
Yeah, definitely. Those all sound really excellent. Tell us a little bit more about the downloadable book.
So it's called the 5 Keys to Sacred Sexuality,
Nice.
and it's written by me, and it's just an opportunity to really see what are the key components to creating a more conscious, connected, lovemaking experience.
Nice.
When you sign up to get the 5 Keys to Sacred Sexuality, if you stick with me for a few months, you'll get minimal email into your inbox, but you will get many, many juicy tips on how to bring more intimacy into the bedroom. And they're good stuff.
Yeah,
Good
that sounds
stuff.
excellent. Well, Triambika, thank you so much. I definitely encourage everybody to go and check out your website. Signing up for Triambika's newsletter will get you this 5 Keys to Sacred Sexuality. And of course, the links will be down below the video like they have been. Everybody who's been on the summit knows where to find the links for the free gifts. And then also you have an opportunity to get on the phone with Triambika and sort through some of the things you've been going through and maybe create a plan with her to really find the core of intimacy that you're looking for in your sexual experiences. Brilliant. Triambika, thank you so much for sharing your story so vulnerably. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Lessa. It's great
Yeah.
that you're doing this.
Yeah, it's been exciting. It's been a fun journey. So, and I'm really excited. All the men who are listening. I really hope that you find your penis lightsaber and really use that to your best extent. Good luck with that,
Yes.
everybody. And thanks again.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.